All right, welcome back for the final video for the Paleolithic and Neolithic era. In this video, we're going to be talking about some test-taking strategies, including looking at some specific released SOL questions that will help you a great deal. And in the background, just to get you warmed up, got a little bit more Far Cry Primal. So anyway, we're going to get right into this. So here we go. All right, so here we go. We're going to go really quickly. Paleolithic era, Old Stone Age, old and pale. People are nomadic. They had to move from place to place. Another word is migrated, because they did not know how to grow things yet. So they have to search for food, water, and shelter. They had to invent the first tools in order to stay alive. They had simple weapons like rocks and sticks. They learned how to make and use fire. They needed that to stay alive, again, for protection and to cook their food. They also lived in clans, which is their extended family, and they developed oral language, which is not necessarily speaking a language like English, but anyway, it's communicating with their mouth like a baby would cry, and eventually it turns into a language. There is no written language yet, and they also created cave art, which tells archaeologists a lot about what we need to know about these people, how they lived their daily lives. Next up, we have the Neolithic era, the New Stone Age. Once human beings learn how to grow their own food, agriculture, that becomes Neolithic. And this is a way of categorizing. They didn't know back then, hey, we just learned how to plant foods, we're in the Neolithic era. It's nothing like that. This is a way that historians document the time periods that people lived in. So agriculture, it led to permanent settlements. Domestication, a big vocabulary word. They domesticated animals so they could use them to make fit for human use. Everything's advanced, including their tools, pottery to store the food, weaving skills to make clothes. When it all boils down, ask yourself, is it simple or advanced? There's a couple that might be confusing, but most are pretty easy. Fire confuses people, but fire is simple. Humans could have never survived without fire, so that's a basic necessity. Agriculture, that's a complicated word. Heck, I have trouble spelling it sometimes. Domestication, same thing, complicated. If it's complicated, if it's advanced, it's in the Neolithic era. If it's simple, it's in the Paleolithic era. So again, think of it in terms of simplicity. Take your best guess, make it an educated guess by thinking it through. Archaeology is one of the parts of this unit that most people understand pretty well. Archaeologists study the past. They locate human remains, settlements, fossils, and artifacts. Remember that artifacts are human-made objects. Also, they apply carbon dating. Again, dating. They're dating something. They're finding out how old it is. So they analyze these artifacts and they learn about the past, and that's how we understand what the past was like. Stonehenge, an archaeological site located in England. Take a look at the pictures. The pictures are very important. You really need to be able to identify them. The pictures for Aleppo and Jericho are not important. You just need to remember kindergarten style, like we said before, Aleppo and Jericho, Fertile Crescent. Aleppo and Jericho, Fertile Crescent. And finally, we have Çatalhöyük, a Neolithic settlement under excavation in Anatolia, which is part of Turkey today. Weird word. Definitely difficult to spell, to say, and Anatolia is a place you probably haven't heard of, so you might associate those together. Okay, so next we're going to be talking about 6 specific released SOL questions and the test-taking strategies you should be using to answer these questions. Now, these were at one point real SOL questions, and most of the ones that appear are going to be similar, based around them, etc. And we're going to be doing this all year for each unit, taking a look at different questions. Now, one of the strategies a lot of students tell me is that in middle school they learn to read the question and then cover up the answers and do their best to answer the question off the top of their head. I don't agree with that. In my opinion, what you should be doing is reading your answer choices first and talking to yourself, did we talk about this? Did we talk about that? Does this make any sense? And then when you read the question, you're going to be in a much better position. So I'm going to talk you through a few of these questions. Okay, so first question. First thing I do, look at the 4 answer choices. A, written language. B, development of agriculture. C, specialization of labor. We didn't talk about that too much. And use of pottery, we did talk about that. But here's the question. During the Neolithic era, Which change first resulted in the creation of settled communities? So what it's basically saying is, what was the most important thing about the Neolithic era? That's the development of agriculture. Yes, eventually they develop written language. Eventually they specialize in labor, and they do use pottery. But remember, these tests are about the best answer. Okay, next question. Look at your 4 answer choices. You have mineral deposits, religious beliefs, survival needs, tribal treaties. We haven't even talked about 2 of those. We haven't talked about mineral deposits or tribal treaties. Religious beliefs, not even that much yet. Next unit, we'll be talking about religion more. Survival needs is the only answer that makes sense. So then when you go and read the question, it says what factor had the greatest effect on the movements of early nomadic societies? Obviously, you know the right answer. All right, next, look at your 4 answer choices. The rise of civilizations displaced other people. Doesn't sound familiar. Natural disasters. Didn't talk about them. People searched for new sources of food. They did that every day. Religious conflicts made people leave disputed lands. Never talked about it. So which statement best explains the migration of early humans? C is the only one we ever talked about. People searched for new sources of food. That's why they migrated. So this brings up something a little bit different. Whenever I see a graphic or a chart, I look at the chart first rather than the answer choices. So right off the bat, I know that's cave art. So when studying prehistoric people, cave drawings like this allow archaeologists to do what? To speculate about their daily lives. That's how we learn about them, because remember, they don't have a written language. That picture doesn't help you understand any spoken languages. It doesn't help you interpret written records, and there's no farming techniques. So it's a pretty easy answer if you look at it. Take the time. Okay, next up. Look at your 4 choices. Increase of spoken languages, the end of hunting. That didn't happen. We still hunt today. Development of permanent settlements. That's interesting. And the elimination of trade. That never happens. We still trade today. So what was the major change caused by the agricultural revolution? That would be the development of permanent settlements. People start living in villages. Okay, last question. So we're going to take a look at our 4 choices. It says by planting crops, domesticating animals. We know that's Neolithic. By following animal migrations. Okay, that's Paleolithic. And from nearby settlements. Well, settlements are Neolithic. So it says during the Paleolithic era, so we just eliminated a couple. How did most early humans acquire food? Not by planting crops, not by domesticating animals, definitely by following animal migrations. So again, just knowing the basics, advanced, not advanced, that's really going to help you answer these questions. So remember, you can go back and watch this video as many times as you need to. There's supplemental materials included that you can take a look at, but there's a lot of information throughout this year. But again, you don't have to memorize it all. Just be familiar. Take short bursts of time and look things over. And the more you expose yourself to the materials, the more you'll be ready.